The rain hadn't stopped for 3 days. It fell over the quiet city like a blanket of sorrow, drenching everything it touched: the cracked streets, the broken signs, and the forgotten corners where no one ever looked. Officer Daniel Brooks had been patrolling this side of town for years, yet something about tonight felt different. Maybe it was the way the wind whispered through the alleys, or the flickering streetlights that looked like dying stars. Whatever it was, it tugged at his heart in a way he couldn't explain. And then he heard it. A faint sound, not quite a cry, not quite a whisper, drifting from an abandoned lot behind an old hardware store. His instincts sharpened instantly. Daniel pulled over, stepping out into the cold rain, the beam of his flashlight slicing through the darkness. The sound came again, weak, trembling. He followed it through the mud and overgrown weeds until his light stopped on something that made his heart skip. There, huddled beneath a broken piece of metal roofing, was a little girl. She couldn't have been more than 8. Her clothes were soaked through, her skin pale and shivering, and her small hands clutched an old stuffed bear with one missing eye. Her lips were blue. Daniel's breath caught in his throat. "Hey, hey, sweetheart," he whispered, kneeling beside her. "It's okay, I'm here to help you." The girl looked up, eyes wide, eyes that had seen far more pain than any child ever should. She didn't speak, only stared, trembling. "Don't worry," Daniel said softly. "You're safe now." If this moment has already touched your heart, don't forget to hit the like button, share your thoughts in the comments, and subscribe to Kindness Universe for more true, emotional stories that remind us of the good still left in this world. Daniel wrapped his jacket around her tiny body, trying to keep her warm. He called for backup, but the dispatcher's voice faded in his ears. All he could think about was how light she felt when he lifted her. She weighed almost nothing, as if she'd been fatting from the world one day at a time. At the hospital, doctors worked quickly, malnourished, dehydrated, bruised. The words hit Daniel like bullets. He stood by the window, rain streaking down the glass, his fists clenched. Whoever had done this to her, whoever had left her like this. But then, the doctor said something that broke him in a way he hadn't expected. "She's been out there alone for days," the doctor said quietly. "But from the signs we've seen, she wasn't always alone. Someone tried to take care of her until they couldn't anymore." Daniel frowned. "What do you mean?" The doctor hesitated, glancing toward the hallway. "She keeps whispering something in her sleep. Mama's coming back." That night Daniel couldn't sleep. The girl's face haunted him, her silence, her hollow eyes, the way she'd clung to that old stuffed bear as if it were her entire world. He had seen countless cases of neglect in his career, but something about her was different. It wasn't just pity he felt. It was a strange, aching need to understand. The next morning, when she woke up, Daniel was there. "Hey," he said softly, offering her a cup of warm cocoa. "I'm Daniel, what's your name?" For a moment she didn't answer. Then, in the smallest voice he'd ever heard, she whispered, "Leela." "That's a beautiful name, Leela," Daniel smiled gently. "Can you tell me what happened?" She shook her head, her eyes filling with tears. "Mama said she'd be back soon. She said not to leave the lot." Daniel felt his heart crack. He took her hand gently. "Okay, you did good staying there, Leela. You're very brave." Over the next few days, Leela stayed at the hospital and Daniel visited her every day. He brought her books, snacks, even a new stuffed bear, though she still held on tightly to the old one. Slowly, she began to open up. She told him bits and pieces, how her mother had lost her job, how they'd been living in their car, how her mother always said things would get better. But one night, her mother didn't come back. Daniel searched tirelessly. He went through police records, shelters, even old surveillance footage from nearby streets. Finally, after 3 days, he found something, a woman matching the description of Leela's mother, being taken into an ambulance from a nearby alley. She collapsed from exhaustion and hunger. But when he checked the hospital records, his heart dropped. She hadn't made it. Daniel stood frozen in the hallway, staring at the report in his hands. His chest felt hollow. How was he supposed to tell a child that the person she loved most in the world was gone forever? That night when he visited Leela, she smiled for the first time. "Officer Daniel, you came back." He forced a smile, sitting beside her. "Of course I did, kiddo, always." She tilted her head. "Did you find Mama?" The words hung in the air like a blade. Daniel's throat tightened. For a long time he couldn't answer. Finally he said quietly, "Leela, your mom loved you so much. She tried her best to keep you safe. And I promise you she's not gone. She's right here." He placed his hand gently over her heart. Leela's eyes filled with tears, and for a long moment neither of them spoke. The rain began again outside, a soft rhythm against the window. Weeks passed. Leela's health improved. Daniel filed for her to be placed in foster care, but every night he found himself driving past the hospital just to see her light still on. He told himself it was part of the job, but deep down he knew it was. There was something about that little girl, her resilience, her quiet strength, that reminded him of his own daughter, the one he'd lost years ago in a car accident. He hadn't talked about her in years. He'd buried his grief behind his badge, behind his duty. But now it was all rushing back. One afternoon, Leela looked at him with her wide, curious eyes and asked, "Do you have kids?" Daniel froze. The question hit like a wave. He swallowed hard. "I did. Her name was Emily." "What happened to her?" "She went to heaven," he said softly. Leela nodded slowly, then reached out and took his hand. "Maybe my mama met her there." That broke him. Right there in that hospital room, Daniel Brooks, the officer who had seen everything, who had faced death and danger and loss, broke down and cried. Not because of sadness, but because of the strange, healing warmth he felt in that moment. He realized something powerful that day. Sometimes, the people we find when we least expect it are the ones who save us. A month later, the court approved Daniel's request for temporary guardianship. Leela moved in with him. Her laughter began to fill the house again, a sound he hadn't heard in years. She painted pictures for his fridge, left sticky notes on his coffee mug that said, "You're the best police officer." And sometimes, when the rain fell outside, she'd whisper, "Mama's watching." Daniel believed her. Before we reach the end of this story, take a moment to like this video, share your thoughts below, and subscribe to Kindness Universe if you believe in the power of compassion, healing, and second chances. Years passed. Leela grew stronger, brighter, and braver. She began to call Daniel Dad. And every time she did, he felt something mend deep inside, something he thought had died long ago. Together, they visited her mother's grave one spring afternoon. Leela placed the old stuffed bear beside the headstone and whispered, "Thank you for keeping me safe, Mama. I found a new home now." Daniel knelt beside her, tears in his eyes. "She'd be proud of you, Leela." As they walked back toward the car, hand in hand, the sun broke through the clouds for the first time in days. The light bathed them in warmth, soft and golden. Daniel glanced at the sky and whispered, "Thank you." Because sometimes, life doesn't give you what you expect, it gives you who you need.